Erased Matriarchy. Unearthing the history of female power.
We tend to think of history as a slow march toward equality, like women started with nothing and gradually fought their way into the room. But here, on Erased Matriarchy, the evidence suggests the doors were often locked from the outside, fairly recently, specifically by the people who claimed they were bringing civilization.
So we went backward?
In many ways, yes. Let's look at the Igbo people of southeastern Nigeria. Before British colonization in the late 1800s, they didn't have a king or a single big boss. They operated on a dual-sex political system.
Dual sex, like two governments?
Exactly. It wasn't about men ruling women. It was parallel lines of authority. Men had their council to handle male affairs, and women had their own council, the Umu Ada, to handle theirs. And crucially, the Women's Council had jurisdiction over men who violated social norms.
Wait, so if a man messed up, the women could punish him?
Oh, they did more than punish. They had a specific constitutional check called sitting on a man.
That sounds literal.
It was effective. If a man abused his wife or corrupted the market, the women would gather at his compound. They'd dance, sing mocking songs detailing his crimes, and bang on his hut all night. They wouldn't let him sleep or leave until he repented and paid a fine. It was a strike, a protest, and a court judgment all rolled into one.
Wow. And it worked?
It worked because the society respected the balance. Until the British arrived. The colonizers couldn't wrap their heads around women having political power. To them, politics was for men, so they imposed a system of warrant chiefs.
Let me guess. All men?
Exclusively. And not just men, often men who had no standing in the community, just puppets willing to do British bidding. These chiefs started taxing women and seizing property, things the Women's Council would never have permitted. The check on power was gone.
So the women sat on them?
They tried. In 1929, tens of thousands of Igbo women mobilized. They launched what they called the Ogu Umunwani, the Women's War. They marched on the warrant chiefs using their traditional methods, ferns on their heads, painted faces, singing the protest songs. They burned down the colonial courts.
That's incredible. A full-scale rebellion.
It was, but the British didn't see it as a legitimate political action. They didn't see a check and balance. They saw a mob. They called it the Aba Women's Riots.
Riots. That changes how history remembers it.
Precisely. A riot is chaos. A war is political. The British responded with gunfire. Over 50 women were killed. The rebellion forced the British to make some changes, but the damage was foundational. They introduced Western administration that permanently centered male authority. The dual-sex system was dismantled.
So modernizing them actually stripped the women of their rights.
That is the tragedy. We look at the past and assume women were silent, but in the Igbo dual-sex system, they were loud, organized, and powerful. The silence wasn't natural. It was engineered.
Ignite your muse with drops of inspiration. Search Musedrops.